we are recording for anybody who can't be present for 3+ hours with us. So we'll send that out after the fact. And could I see you guys on camera for just a minute? Just so I know who's who. Awesome, great, thank you, I appreciate it. Trying to wrangle our team to get them on there during their slots. Anyway, okay. You guys are gonna have to pardon me while all this stuff pops up. Sorry. Someone is waiting in the lobby. Okay. Hold on a second. Be right back. So I sent a note to all of you guys. We're going to do an intern breakout session at the end of the trainings, the event management training. So hopefully you guys can hang on to at the end of those trainings for like 15 minutes. We will do something valuable each week. Got some staff members signing in now. Welcome. Okay, this is great. Great attendance. While we're kind of waiting, would Tilley, would you start with an introduction, introducing yourself?
Great crowd. Thanks for joining us, you guys. And thanks in advance for being willing to work with us this upcoming semester. My name is Vaughn. I'm on staff and have been on staff forever, like a very long time. So just Kathy, of course, is going to serve as your primary to get this all set up. But then I believe you've all probably connected a lot with a good number of the folks that are going to be supervising what you're doing.
I
turned off.
Well, you're
Dude, I just got new internet here. What is wrong? Let me go move. Hang on. Is it any better?
That does seem better.
Okay. Well, that just makes me mad.
Don't get Kelly mad.
Just changed internet service. Let's see if it's better in here. Anyway, I know I'm going to kick into my orientation in a minute, which is really more broad strokes of just some of the overall expectations for interns. But anything else, Kathy, that you want to cover before I do my piece of things?
No, I'm totally just going to jump in when we have minute here and there.
Okay, sounds good then. So I think that again, I'm just kind of general things because I do work with the majority of our program staff. And so I have the opportunity of kind of just connecting the dots amongst the departments and seeing how everybody is collaborating and just seeing how our overall program, including our volunteers and interns, is working. So sometimes folks ask, we have a lot of people who come in and volunteer regularly in the office, and then we have folks like you who are going to intern. And the big difference is that if somebody's just coming in to volunteer and we see that we've kind of given them a task that's not really the best fit for them, we generally just shift them over to something that's more suitable. But you guys are signing up for an internship, which is ideally mutually beneficial, which means it's going to give you guys some great experience and training. And that means that we're not just going to shift you to another job. We're going to give you some constructive criticism and some feedback on what's going well and what are some things you might want to do differently to be more successful with the task. So on the flip side, we definitely want to hear feedback from you all. on how your experience is and, what, of course, can we continue to do to make those internships better. But this is, the expectation that you all are coming in and contributing and treated as, anyone else who's coming in to work with us. So it's the little things for all of us, and for any meetings you have, make sure you're taking notes. Take notes, take notes, take notes, right? We always look for really very capable people to come in, but you are going to quickly learn Special Olympics, like we're a sports organization. We do sports. That should be so nice and straightforward. And we are so ridiculously complicated. There's so many layers to it, and there's just a lot of detail. So great that you're smart people. You still want to take notes. Take notes that you actually are going to understand later, right? And also, even though you take notes, you are still only going to retain a certain portion. It's a lot of information overload at the beginning, and that's okay. There is absolutely nothing wrong with asking questions. Ask, 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 so we can make sure you have the right information. Seen a lot of great people come in, and they want to look like they're doing a good job, so they don't want to go back and ask because it makes them look like they didn't understand, and they get going and do a whole lot of work that goes the wrong direction. And then we have to kind of dial back and redo things, and that's kind of rotten for everybody. So it is okay to ask for clarification and make sure we're giving you what you need to be successful. The other thing that I see a lot of good people do is go and ask questions to other interns or other people who are brand new. And, you only know what you know. And so there are the folks who've been there and have the information. Kathy is a great resource. Obviously, your supervisor, people like me who kind of have the broad knowledge. We might be a little more intimidating to ask the questions to, but we are the people you got to ask. So just that's who you need to come to. And I know that's more comfort level, new folks talking to new folks. But honestly, let's go ahead and make sure that you can handle things the way you need to. And then the other thing is that I always just advise folks, it's okay to start off very slowly. And typically it's like anything new. And as you guys get into your careers and new jobs, you tend to kind of be spoon-fed there at the beginning. You're just getting little things and it starts off really slow. Enjoy that, right? Because then it's going to really pick up and you're really going to get into the meat of whatever projects you're working on. And then you're going to have a whole lot to keep up with. But it is okay to start slow, make sure you're doing things right, you feel really solid, and then it really is going to pick up for you. And so just be patient with us and bear with us as we get things launched with you. And then another thing, Kathy hears me talk all the time about delegation, right? Because it is our job to properly delegate tasks and responsibilities to those who are there to help us. And that's a super hard thing to do. And so for all of these folks that are going to be supervising you, I tell them, look, you're going to be waiting until 2045 if you think you're going to write nice, neat instructions and have everything organized and then give it over to Jacob here for him to do this project. And I tell these guys, just give it to them messy. So it might be at the beginning that somebody's like, here's, these notes on this thing. Can you just organize it for me? And I just can't say how important and helpful it is for you guys to take what might seem like a mess at the beginning and just get it straight and then get it headed into a really productive direction. But again, if you find that you're being given some responsibilities that you would like to be doing more, or you have a stronger interest in this versus that, those are the great conversations to have with your supervisor. Again, so we can really make sure that it is beneficial for you guys. We want to make sure you are getting some great experience, some great feedback, and just some great knowledge to carry with you into whatever it is that you do next. And your timing is really nice. There are some semesters where, especially over the summer, that we don't have so many events. And it really is a lot of establishing the behind the scenes stuff and the planning But we are, of course, already up and running here in the winter, and then we'll have a lot of activity in the spring. So it is definitely, I think, incumbent on all of us to make sure that you get a nice blend of doing the prep and the behind the scenes work, but also getting out there and getting to see that work in action. So again, I think got really nice timing to be able to get out and see some really cool stuff. And absolutely, every single one of you should plan on doing a polar plunge somewhere in the state and jump into freezing cold water, because we give that opportunity all over the place. And then obviously, we're really going to start cranking with sports events and just overall activity in the organization. And I think that the last thing I want to say is that ideally we're giving you some opportunity to really not just be at events, but get to know the athletes, the people who we really are putting this program on for. And we just have phenomenal people involved all around. And we have a lot of really great athletes who also serve in leadership roles, who volunteer alongside other volunteers, who help manage things, who provide their own feedback. And so anywhere in your work where you get the chance to work alongside athletes and really do more with them, or if you really want more of that opportunity, again, let's make sure that that happens for you, because I think that that really, again, gives you a unique perspective of really getting to know the people who are benefiting from this program and really what they're wanting to see out of it. And you're really getting to see, really what is the benefit of this work that you're doing? How is it really reaching people? And I'm sure you guys have a varying levels of knowledge of Special Olympics if you've gotten out to events before or seen any of it, but let's make sure you know all kinds of stuff about it as we go along. And then ideally, at the end of this, I know Kathy's going to do some nice exit interview stuff to really hear from you, and certainly hope that it kind of opens some doors for you all to have some involvement with us as you move along, no matter what it might be. If you choose to just volunteer for some events or do stuff on your campus through So College, we've got great college activity, or coach, or even come back one of these days and work for us. So I think that those are just some of the general tips that I try to share right at the beginning. And I know you guys are going to hear from various departments and kind of get the overview of what they do. So here's your first dose of information overload. And thanks again for signing up for that part of it.
Awesome. Does anybody have a question for Kelly before she jumps off in 2 minutes?
Right.
So Kelly started as a volunteer or as a part-time staff member?
I was volunteer at some local events when I was in high school and through college. And then my first job was, 10 hours a week doing data entry. That's what it was many moons
Now she's
ago.
like COO or something like that. So
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Allie. Thanks for the salute. I expect salutes. Did I tell everybody that? No. Good. Well, thanks for having me, Kathy. Thanks for organizing this. And I look forward to seeing you guys around.
thank you, Kelly.
Thanks.
So next we have Allie Stockburger, and she will tell you all about herself and her department.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. As Kathy said, my name's Allie, and I'm the Senior Director of Youth Initiatives. Our Youth Initiatives department primarily facilitates what we call Unified Champion Schools. I don't know if anyone out there is familiar with Unified Champion Schools. Wonderful. I love new folks. So Unified Champion Schools is Special Olympic strategy to bring inclusion into schools. And we focus on from birth to 22. So from preschool through college, and our aim is to bring together students with and without intellectual disabilities to develop that inclusive programming at their school. We we achieve this through 3 primary programs. Many of you may be familiar with Unified Sports. That's where students with and without disabilities are training and competing together on the playing field, and that can be in a recreational setting. We've got a Unified Rec League and Apex that plays volleyball, but it can also be competitive. So it can be our Interscholastic Unified Track and Field program, which is a sport that is run through the athletic department and facilitated like any other sport would be facilitated at a school. The other part of Unified Champion Schools is youth leadership. So I mentioned already, students with and without disabilities are coming together. Typically, we see them in unified clubs at schools, and they're the ones that are planning all of the activities that are happening at the school. And those activities are what we call whole school engagement, and that's where you're creating these activities with inclusivity in mind. And it's an opportunity for everyone to come together around inclusion. You primarily will see that through our Spread the Word campaign. So we do Spread the Word inclusion, where we encourage folks. It used to be Spread the Word to End the Word, where we wanted to end the derogatory use of the word retard or retarded. But because of the success of that campaign, we've been able to shift it to Spread the Word inclusion. And so we're working with school systems on how to positively promote inclusion in the school. And they do it with like banner signings, pep assemblies, morning announcements, all of that wonderful stuff. You'll also see unified art, unified music, unified whatever that school wants to participate in. And my team at Special Olympics, we've got 2 regional youth initiatives directors is what we call them, and they break out East and West. And they're the ones that will go into these schools and work with educators and students and help them develop their program at the school. We also have 2 part-time young athletes managers that are also East and West based, and they focus on our 2 to 7-year-olds and young athletes. You may hear in a variety of different settings because it does touch health and it does touch sports, but it is our gross motor play program. So students are getting together. If you're not familiar in Special Olympics, you have to be 8 years old to be able to compete. So Young Athletes is the play program that gets them ready to compete when they turn 8. And we often facilitate that in of a spring games competition. So those 2 to 7-year-olds will be up on a tennis court doing activity stations, kicking, striking, balance, where their 8-year-old classmates may be down on the track competing in a traditional sport. Unified Champion Schools has been around for 17 years, which is an extraordinary thing. We're funded by the Department of Education. So annually we receive a grant, and that grant funding is used to support our Unified Champion Schools. Who went to a public high school in North Carolina? Shout it out for me.
Millbrook.
Millbrook High School, great school, is a Unified Champion school. Fun fact, they have a Best Buddies club that is also a hybrid unified club. So they use their Best Buddies club to do our Unified Champion schools activities. But that is just an example of kind of the reach that we have with our schools. So we go into places like Millbrook, and I'll work with, is Miss Siebel still there? Is that how you say her last name?
I don't know. My brother's there now. I would have to ask him.
Wonderful. But it's kind of this network of individuals, student leaders who connect and do things all around inclusion. So in addition to like working directly with schools, I don't believe I'm going to be working directly with any of you. Like, I don't believe I'll be supervising any of you, but lucky for you, Unified Champion Schools is a part of all the work that happens at Special Olympics. So I know we've got Gracie out there. She's our event intern, I believe, working with Kyle. Kyle supports our Cool Schools Plunges, which is our fundraising event for schools where they go plunge into freezing cold water, and we pay for it to be a field trip. So I'm sure our paths will cross as you work to support Kyle as he does polar plunge events. We also work with Kyle on youth games management teams. So he trains all of our student leaders who lead any events. So if you want to lead an event at our school, you got to go through Kyle. And so we collaborate often with him as a department to facilitate those trainings for our youth. Our So Good folks, I know we've got a couple So Good folks out there. Congratulations, that's the biggest unified program that we have at Special Olympics. So you'll be working very closely with our team to support the 300 schools that do that program. And then I think we've got Tilley, and you're in Mecklenburg, lucky you. Renee will take, and Jaimes will take phenomenal care of you. They have their own Unified Champion Schools program. Renee supports that, and we call it Unified Champion City Schools. So it's our urban initiative. And she's a fantastic resource to have in that community. Did I hit everybody? We've got a volunteer engagement director, which, you know, as you work with Kathy as a department also reaches into every other department pot. So High Point Central, you hosted the Cool Schools Plunge last year. Hello, Sean. Yes, in Greensboro, I remember it vividly. That's a fantastic school. You are lucky to have Keaton in your area, who is just a young ball of energy who supports all sorts of programming in that community.
You guys post your colleges in the chat, so Allie might have something to touch on.
Oh yeah, we have, thank you, Kathy. We do also support college campus programming. Kelly mentioned it earlier. They're called SO College Clubs, Special Olympics College Clubs. Currently we're on 13 campuses in North Carolina. Yes, we are at NC State. We are not at NC Central. I would love for there to be a unified club on that campus. I live right down the road from you, so give me a call and I will come visit campus. Elon hosts spring games for Alamance as a unified champion school. I don't know that they have a specific SO college there at Elon, but I know that they're very involved with the local program. Meredith is another one that we would love to partner with. They used to be a Special Olympics College Club back in the day when someone prior to you, who's also a student, did this very thing, Annie. I don't know if you remember her, Kathy, but she was a Meredith student that was an intern for us once upon a time. And she had started a club there, but when she graduated, I think it kind of fell off.
Yeah, they have
And
an
then,
autism program, so it seems like a nice fit.
yes, it is. And then UNC Chapel Hill has a huge Special Olympics club. NC State and UNC participate in a rivalry series game. So we have unified flag football teams that do campus intramurals. And once a year, they compete against UNC, and it's typically around the rivalry game that is in the fall, the Thanksgiving game that they do in football. And then in the spring, UNC plays Duke, and they are scheduled, they've scheduled that event. It's in March, right before spring break. And it's going to be at Cameron. They've given us Cameron this year. So if anyone wants to hang out in Cameron Indoor when there's no one in there, come on and join us for the rivalry game.
What's the date?
I have to double check, but it is a Thursday before spring break.
Okay.
both Duke and UNC. So, and I don't know what that, it's like early March. But I'll share the date. Nathan and Isabella, of course, are in charge of that one. But yeah, so we have campus engagement. And the best thing about Unified Champion Schools, like I always tell folks, is it really is like if your name of the game is inclusion, then whatever your passion is, we can support that at Special Olympics. Oftentimes people will say Special Olympics in sports, which we are. That's who we are at our core. But we are so much more than that, as we know, like athletes and individuals are more than that, and everybody has their own unique passions. And so Unified Champion Schools really is that opportunities for students to like discover themselves, for lack of better words, in a very safe and fun environment. Did I cover everything, Kathy?
You're amazing. Wait, how did you start with Special Olympics?
Great question. I'm actually from Montana. I started with Special Olympics Montana 12 years ago. And I started as a development assistant and supported LETR, which is Law Enforcement Torch Run, counting raffle tickets, tens of thousands of little squares of raffle tickets. And then after 4 years there, I came to Special Olympics North Carolina. I've been here for the last 8 years. And I have had a wonderful journey at Special Olympics. I've been able to work in the development department, have been in community resources, so worked with local programs. But my calling, if you will, is our youth leaders. So once I got into Unified Champion Schools, I have not looked back. I've been there for 8 years, and I love it. It's a wonderful, wonderful job.
Does anybody have any questions for Allie? As she mentioned, she's been here a while, knows a lot of things.
I think.
Anybody have anything? Well, awesome. Well, Allie, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Everyone enjoy the fire hose of information that you'll receive today. And oh, I get to turn it over to Kyle, which I'm very excited about. Kyle, they are all yours.
Kyle's not technically on till 1:30. We'll see if he'll show his camera. Thank you, Serenity. So yeah, we will, all of our email addresses for you guys are on our website. So if anybody, Serenity, wanted to help Allie with that NCCU, you could just grab her email address off the website and shoot her a note. And
I'll take you to lunch and we can talk about it.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Allie.
you.
Thanks,
Welcome,
Allie.
Kyle. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm glad I got on a little bit early. I was getting on to see how the training was going and prepare for my session, but I'm going to do it a little bit more on the fly now. My name is Kyle Jaimes. I am the Director of Events for Special Olympics North Carolina. I don't know if we're introducing the people that are going to be helping us out, but Gracie Dunn is going to be the intern for our events department. And we have so many events for this upcoming season. Just the way that we do events at Special Olympics North Carolina is we have state level sport events, and we have fundraising events, and then we also have a set of events that are more regional, which we call invitationals, and those are the events that I handle. We do hundreds of other events at the local level. So, for example, spring games. Most counties in North Carolina have their own spring games. And I'm sure that if you haven't heard from community resources yet, or that you're going to at some point during this program, but they'll talk to you about how our structure is in regards to local programs, and how they do spring games and all of that. But my role is really involved in, again, the state level events for sports, and the regional events that cross multiple counties, and as well as our state level fundraisers. So today I was just making our meeting schedule for our state level events, and just realizing how many we have during the winter and summer season. So we have winter season, summer season, and fall season. Right now, we're kind of in the interim where it's winter and summer. Winter kind of goes into summer. And our events that we have coming up throughout February through about May. We have our state level winter games for alpine skiing and snowboarding. That's in February. We have multiple state level polar plunges, which is a fundraising event that the community gets involved with, and they raise money and get involved in different teams and plunge into freezing cold water in different locations across North Carolina. So we have a few of those in February. And then some of our state level events for our other sports, including our cheerleading tournament. We have an ice skating tournament that we invite other states to. A swimming invitational we invite other states to, and then a couple other marquee events would be our plane pull fundraiser and summer games, which hosts over seven sports across over, I think, 4 to 5 different venues in Raleigh. So we have a lot that we're planning for right now, and we're super excited about what's on the horizon. Additionally, I know you've all been encouraged to get really involved with the event management training that's going to be kicking off here in just a couple of weeks, a 6-week series on Monday nights at 6 p.m. And that is going to give you guys the lay of the land on best practices from Special Olympics North Carolina's perspective, and some key things that we do at all of our events for the different areas that we have. I mean, I believe some of you will be joining our management teams for these events, so I'm excited to work with y'all. I know Kathy loves getting you involved with all of the different areas and all the different events that you can. But again, what my role is and what my department is we're an events organization, but my department helps make all of those state level events and regional events happen. We look at what the logistics are for the event, the schedules, the venues, if we're serving lunch, who is the volunteer team that is going to be running the event? Because if you haven't noticed yet, we're not a huge group of staff members at Special Olympics North Carolina. So we rely heavily on volunteers to be trained up and run these events in the local community. So we're not out every week and every weekend and every night hosting different events. So we work on all of the behind the scenes to make sure that those events go off without a hitch and that they're really great experiences for our athletes across North Carolina. And Kathy, I'll throw it to you really quick. Do you have any questions for me that you think would be really great for us to touch on for everybody on the call?
How did you get started with Special Olympics?
So Special Olympics, I started volunteering when I was in middle school, and went to college, decided I kind of wanted to do something when it came to working with individuals with disabilities. In grad school, I found kind of a light bulb clicked, and I was like, man, I want to work for Special Olympics. I loved volunteering in the past. So the doors kind of opened around me, and I found my way into a role with the 2022 Special Olympics USA Games. Many people, when you say, oh, I work for Special Olympics, they're like, oh, I love that. I see that on TV all the time, and I love all those veterans, with disabilities competing. And that's not what we do. We work with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So different from the Paralympics, but the other misconception about Special Olympics is it's like, oh, when are they having the Special Olympics, right? Well, we have events across the calendar year, over 300 events a year, I would say, at the local and state level. We do have marquee events that happen every year, but this 2022 USA Games, that was kind of the event that people would think of if you were thinking of people from all around the different states in the United States and the Caribbean and all of those areas, bringing delegations of athletes to compete in 20 sports in the same location at the same time. So we worked for 4 years to make sure that event went off well. Then I got a job here at Special Olympics North Carolina. And now the 2026 games will be in Minnesota. So we'll be sending athletes to Minnesota in 2026 to compete in the same thing. So that's how I got started and kind of my little story, I guess.
So Kyle didn't really mention it, but it seems to fall under his purview to help athletes get to other Special Olympics events, such as World Winter Games in Turin, Italy,
Mhm.
coming up really soon. So there's so many opportunities. We've had volunteers and staff members travel around the world. I think Allie started on staff, like she said, 8 years ago, and they said, "Do you have a passport?" And she's like, "Yes." "Can you go to China next month?" So I should have asked her about that, but there's all kinds of interesting opportunities for folks. Do you guys have any questions for Kyle? No? Well, you did a great overview, Kyle. I appreciate it. What was your,
I actually have a question.
oh, there you go, Sean.
I guess just like during an event, like I'm sure it varies from event to event, but like what are you doing? Like how would your like typical day go managing an event?
And are you asking me specifically for my role or kind of like what
I guess
anybody
you
leading an event?
specifically, or just like, I mean, if I'm going to be managing an event, what would I be doing?
So yeah, it's a great question. Me specifically is, I'm not at every event, obviously, but we have a role of or a team of what we call either management team or games management team that we train up. They're volunteers that run that event. So if, for example, you were a games management team for an event, we have a variety of roles. Some of them are very specific to sports. So like we have competition managers who run the actual competition. So if it's a soccer tournament, there's somebody there running the soccer competition and really kind of spearheading that. We have somebody that would be a logistics manager that is bringing all the equipment, making sure the equipment gets to the right places. Typically, we have a volunteer manager who is not just like signing people in to volunteer, but they are doing some communication beforehand to make sure that people know how to get to the event and that they're still coming to the event, right? And then training the people who are going to be checking in those volunteers, as well as helping train those volunteers when they arrive and help them get to the right spot. Um, we have a venue manager who kind of like leads the team and is really in charge of the high level stuff. So if there's any fires that need to be put out, and when I say fires, I say them in quotes, anything that is not gone completely according to plan, that venue manager really is there to help manage those issues, help lead the team effectively, and do all those things. Awards manager is very much what it sounds like, helps handle the award process. And we have a very specific one. If there is sports going on for the competition, like a competition piece, there's a results manager typically who helps log any of the results from each competition so we can effectively create a great award experience. And for my role, if I'm at an event, which I'm at quite a few of them, but again, not every one, my role is typically to, first of all, let the volunteers do the jobs of the volunteers because I don't know about you, I've shown up to volunteer events and it was clear I was not needed, and that was not a great experience. And I didn't really want to volunteer for that organization again because I was clear that I wasn't needed, and there wasn't really like why was I volunteering my time when it wasn't something that seemed to be impactful. But what we want to do is make sure that the volunteers that come to our events, whether they're leadership or day of volunteers, that they have a really great experience, that they feel like they accomplished something, that they feel like they came out here and really, that they weren't just standing at a door, that they weren't just holding a sign, that they weren't just doing some monotonous thing, making sure that they're having fun, that we are effectively leading. And my job is kind of to help train those leaders as well. So for example, recognizing, hey, we really need to fix up how we have these volunteers. We need to make sure that the volunteer manager is switching people around and making sure that somebody's not just standing at the door for 6 hours, that they are switching them to different roles and help and making sure they have a good experience. So my job is first and foremost to let people do their job, to train them, to oversee and make sure I can put out any fires and help with anything that might be not going according to plan, and that we stick to schedule and really coordinate between the different groups that are working together. I also
Great.
talk a lot.
Great question. So we cover that training in that event management training series, which is really a great foundation for people who are going to be on the games management or management team, event management team. You also get a nice swag item, which I don't know if Kyle's picked out yet, and we'll certify you as an event manager. But yeah, so that gives you a great foundation. At the larger events, we even make you a lovely, lovely binder full of information. Like so, has all the information, and people always say, well, where's this? I'm like, in your binder. It's in your binder. I put it in your binder. But
I try to make the least amount of binders possible, Kathy.
okay.
I love just handing a schedule. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
It depends.
they're large events, lots of binders.
We'd love to be all digital, but just when you're in the heat of the action, at the event, you can't always look, some of the things up. So we reuse them. We're very, very mindful of that. But anyway, well, Kyle, the reason you got pulled in is because someone else didn't show up. That's why Allie announced you early. So that's why you
Oh
were
my goodness. Somebody is on Kathy's bad list.
Not
so
at all. I can cover. It's not a big deal.
fair enough.
But thank you so much. Unless anybody else has any other questions for Kyle. Great. Well, awesome. Thanks, Kyle. Let you go.
Thank you.
Great. So we've got some time. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves, and then I'll go over the technology piece quickly. Eileen, you can start. You're in my top of my screen.
Hi everyone. I'm Tilley. I'm a senior at NC State, and I study sport management, and I have minors in business and nonprofit studies, which is why I decided to take an internship class within my major, and I decided to do it with Special Olympics. So super excited to intern with the sports department.
Serenity.
Hey, I'm Serenity Harper. I'm in the grad school at North Carolina Central University. I'm getting a master's in business administration, and I'm excited to work with you all.
Awesome. Great. And then Jacob.
Hi, I'm Jacob. I graduated from Elon in May of 2024 with a degree in sport management, and I'm looking forward to be working with everybody.
Awesome. Gracie.
Hi, I'm a senior at Meredith College, and I'm a hospitality and tourism major, sorry. And I plan to do event planning, which is why I'm working with the events team.
Awesome. And Reagan?
Hey, I'm Reagan. I go to UNC Chapel Hill, and I'm a junior majoring in exercise science and psychology with a minor in sports medicine. And I'm a part of the So Good fitness team. And yeah, I look forward to working with any of you this semester.
Awesome, Reagan. I have something on campus I want to see if you can help me with. So I'll send you an email. Awesome. Thank you. And then, oh gosh, the screens are moving around. Claire.
Hi, I'm Claire. I also go to Meredith. I'm a junior. I'm getting my bachelor's in business administration with a minor in accounting, and I really want to go to law school. So I'm going to be working in the development department. So I'm excited to work with you all.
Awesome. Excellent. Great. Awesome. And then, Sean, I think you're the last one.
I'm Sean. I'm a senior at UNC Chapel in journalism and political science major. And yeah, should be fun.
Okay, awesome. Well, great. Thank you everyone for being here. So the technology part that Kurt was going to cover, and I'm going to let the president in a second. he was going to cover, we're on Microsoft Office. So a lot of you will use Outlook, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams. And I've created a team for the interns, which I'll invite you to with your SONC accounts. Those accounts will come from your supervisor. I'm really crazy about security. So like Sean, I gave him the email address in one format and texted the password in another. Just trying to help with security because you have access with those accounts to so much of our just everything. You're all Class A volunteers. Hopefully everybody's completed their volunteer screening form. So we've done a background check and you've done your protective behaviors training. Has everyone had a chance to do their protective behaviors? I see a couple nods. Awesome. Thank you. If
Yeah, sorry.
Great. If it's relevant to you, your major and your future career, feel free to access any of the other training on that SO Learn portal. There's so much in there. So if it's helpful for you, please feel free to take as much as you like, if it would be helpful for you in your career. If there's other additional trainings we need you to do as part of your job, your internship, we'll let you know. And yeah, your supervisor will kind of get you familiar with what you need on the different platforms. There's a lot of quick little training videos available. I have a whole document on what you can train on, so I'll share that with you. And some of it is we have videos, or some of it is one of us will actually, put together a small remote class and do the training. So if there's something that you're like, I really need to know, one of these platforms I'm going to share with you, let me know, and we'll see if we can't arrange a training. You might look when I was looking for a new job a little while ago, Salesforce was one of the things I needed to know. So I started learning that. We don't teach Salesforce, but you can learn on your own. There's a whole thing, but I can tell you where to learn it. But so it's just sometimes you might see in job postings that they always talk about particular platforms. So if any of align with you, with your career goals, let me know. I am going to do training on LinkedIn. I may do it on one of those little 15-minute sessions I just sent to everybody. And that's where I'll just go over the basics with you and a few advanced things. And then if anybody wants me to work directly with you and get your LinkedIn up to speed, I'm happy to do that. We want you to be ready for your next step. Okay, I think unless anybody has questions that I can answer right now, let me know. And we're so excited to have so many of you. We only had 2 last semester, so I was just so excited to get everybody back on board and going. So I'm going to let Keith in, and we'll see if he wants to take his turn early. Welcome, Keith. If you're interested, you could take your turn early.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. How's the orientation been?
Hello.
Thumbs up? Okay. No, it's great to be with you. I'm Keith Fishburne. I'm the president and CEO. Oh, there you go. I like that. I'm the president and CEO of Special Olympics North Carolina, and I've been in this role for quite a while, since 1997. And in my role, I'm responsible for making sure all aspects of the organization are functioning smoothly and successfully. And I do that with a lot of volunteers and a small number of staff. But it's my job also to report to the board of directors, which is an all-volunteer group that oversees all of Special Olympics North Carolina. And so they essentially, there's about 21 of them that are my bosses that I report to. And we meet on a quarterly basis so that I can make reports to them. But that's kind of a high-level overview. I think what I'd like to do is just thank you for becoming interns with us. I know intern programs are really important. You know, we've had over the years interns who have finished up their college work, and then maybe they've gone off and done another job, and then they've wound up coming back to us and getting jobs with us. And matter of fact, we have one person who interned with us. She went off. She was in the field of communications and did some things for a few years. We hired her for about 5 years, and then she got another job with Special Olympics International, which is our parent organization. And so she is in her first year working for Special Olympics International. So Special Olympics has a lot of opportunities throughout our organization because there are similar programs like ours in every state in the country. And then I've mentioned the Special Olympics International level, which has its own staff. So internships are a good way to, you know, build that resume and get your foot in the door in the nonprofit sector. So really that's kind of my overview. I think Kathy also said to mention where I went to school, and I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I went to Carolina. So
Got a couple Carolina people
a
on
couple
here.
Carolina folks. All right, good for you. But no, but we get support from all the universities and colleges throughout the state. So it's always fun to have the sports rivalries though. So I'm happy to take any questions that you all may have.
How did you get started, Keith?
I'm sorry?
How did you get started with Special Olympics?
I actually, during my college days, I grew up in Greensboro, and a family friend was in charge of the Special Populations Unit with the Greensboro Parks and Recreation Department. And during my summers at college, they decided to hire me as a camp director for a camp for people with intellectual disabilities. And so that that introduced me to the population that we work with in Special Olympics. And after I finished at Carolina, I've got a journalism degree. I went back to Greensboro and worked in Parks and Rec for about 4 years or so, and then answered an ad for a PR director for Special Olympics North Carolina and moved down here to Raleigh and have been here ever since. I spent about 8 years doing various jobs for Special Olympics North Carolina before the board named me the president and CEO. And incidentally, the CEO that I replaced, he went to Special Olympics International. So he stayed within the Special Olympics movement. So again, just to kind of show you, you know, once you get in the Special Olympics movement, you may find yourself doing a lot of different things.
So Keith was the CEO of SONC when we had World Games here. So in 1999.
Back in 1999, yeah, I was fortunate to experience that. Special Olympics North Carolina did not run those games. There was a separate staff and games organizing committee, but because of my role, I was on the executive committee of the board of directors of the '99 games and got to learn a lot by watching that event be put on. And it's a huge undertaking when you know, we brought 7,000 athletes from about 150 countries into the Triangle area here, and the main campuses of State, Carolina, and Duke were where we housed people and used the sports facilities and such. So it was a huge undertaking.
And that was before any of you were born.
But you'll read about it in the history of Special. And if you get to come to the office, you'll see a lot of commemorative items that we've kept from those games and displayed them on our walls, because it's really unique for a state to be able to host a World Games. Not every state has done that. And since 1999, the World Games have shifted and are held really in other countries. From the 70s and 80s and 90s, the World Games were always held in the United States. But after '99, they shifted, and the first international games for summer sports were actually held in Ireland after Raleigh. And we have our international games just like the 5-ring Olympics. We have our summer games are 4 years apart from each other, and our winter games are 4 years apart, making the summer and the winter 2 years apart. So this coming March, or actually, gosh, 2 months from now, we're sending athletes to Italy for the World Winter Games. And those of you who are maybe working in development, maybe helping to raise money that we have to raise to send those athletes to Italy.
Yeah, one of the, so Keith, how much do the athletes pay to participate?
Participate in Special Olympics?
Yeah.
Yeah, our athletes don't pay a dime. We never ask. We're not a fee-based organization. So we don't ask the athletes to pay anything, and that's not unique just to North Carolina. That's a philosophy that our founder, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, had, and we follow it to this day. Not only in the United States, but around the world, that we don't ask our athletes or their families to pay any fees associated. Now, that doesn't mean that if a family has the ability to make a donation, that they can't do that. Certainly, if they'd like to donate money to Special Olympics, a lot of families have that financial ability to do that. But otherwise, no, we don't charge the athletes to take part at any level of the organization.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Keith?
Who are the Tar Heels?
We've got Reagan
Reagan, okay.
and Sean, who it looks he's still there. He's got his hand up.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Good deal.
So yeah, and Sean is helping with volunteer engagement, and Reagan is helping with So Good, correct?
Oh, good. Excellent.
Yeah, so we're doing I told Reagan I'm going to ask her for this help, but we're doing two events at UNC. We're doing a career fair mixer on the 27th of January, Keith.
Okay.
Well, maybe we'll meet some good people and some future summer interns. And Reagan, if you're available, I'd certainly welcome you to come and help spread the word about us. And then I've got a nonprofit industry snacks and chats on February 11th. So we're going to be spending some time at UNC if I can find
Awesome.
parking.
Hey, yeah, that's the challenge over there for sure. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, good luck, and I hope I'll run into you here in the office or maybe at an event. And again, I appreciate you volunteering your time as interns with us. And if there's anything I can ever do, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so
Great.
much, Keith. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Okay. So I've got some more time to fill. Anything you guys want to tell us? One of the things I would like to see if we can do some collaborative work together, but that'll come later. But we'll talk about that on those after the event management training, see who might be available to help with an in-person training, like in the March, April timeframe. So we'll see. We want to give you opportunities to be at events and do different things. And yeah. So I wonder if Reagan and Serenity and Claire are So Good, right? No, I got it wrong.
I'm in development.
You're in development.
The other two are Vivian and Lee, but I think they had other things to do.
Okay, Serenity's in development too. Okay, Reagan, it falls to you. Tell us about So Good.
I'm not really sure what I'm gonna say yet. So, we're an 8-week fitness program, and we run in the fall and then the winter. And right now, currently, one of the big things that me and another one of the interns are working on is getting a summer program up for the athletes to do, as they're always very eager. They don't want to have to wait until the fall or the spring to start something new. So we're working on getting them asynchronous workouts set up, and also just other activities they can do, such as the fitness tracker that they currently do during the 8-week program.
I have one of these. This is an old one. We started this during COVID. And we have schools tune in on Thursdays. I know this is crazy, but it's like shows how to do the exercise. And then they have a tracker that they fill out. I can't find it. Then they have a little tracker that they fill out. So it asks them what kind of exercise they've done, about their diets, water, stuff like that. And they have, so Reagan mentioned asynchronous, so we'll have maybe some videos, video workouts or whatever. They have a Facebook group they can join, and we'll put some athletes. So we have athletes who are trained health messengers. So they will show, Lorenzo all the time will be online showing people how to cook something. And it's just a fantastic program. We find that, and I find specifically that when reaching out to new groups, that a message from an athlete is far more effective than a message from me. So we have global messengers who are Special Olympics athletes who are trained to speak about Special Olympics. And then some of those have decided to become health messengers. So they learn specifically about the health messaging and they can speak to that for us. Yeah, so that's that. So I'm going to talk about what I do, and we'll see, maybe things will work out and we'll get off early, because I know this is a huge chunk of time. When we do it for staff, it's like 2 whole days. So, but we're trying not to do that. We're just trying to give you a little bit about each department so that you have that information. And like I said earlier, you can reach out to anybody, just grab their email address off the website, just introduce yourself and let them know you have a question about their department. And everybody's usually, they don't necessarily answer that day, but people will get back to you and be happy to answer any questions. If you want to set up, like Allie offered to do a lunch with Serenity, but if you want to do a quick coffee or something, like, definitely don't worry about reaching out to folks, and hopefully they'll be able to give you a little bit of their time. So I'm Kathy Langfield, Senior Director of Volunteer Engagement. I started with Special Olympics as a data entry volunteer in 1998. My friend Kelly, who spoke earlier, told me I needed to do that. So I came out, and they had an office at Blue Ridge and I-40. And I went in and entered some data. I was actually pregnant at the time, so that was about what I could do. And then I ended up volunteering at World Games at Bocce at Farrington as kind of a first aid volunteer, but my whole role was just to hold up a flag if something happened. So things don't usually happen at Bocce, because Bocce is like low, it should be low impact. There should be no balls hitting anybody. But so that was kind of how I started. And then after a while, I did some event management, games management training. And then in 2016, 2017, I wanted to change careers. I was in marketing and wanted to change careers. And I started volunteering again. And then they offered me a part-time job and then full-time job. Then I left and then I came back. So it's crazy. But I love working with the athletes when I can. I don't get to do that every day. And that's a lot of times people apply for an internship thinking they'll get to hang out with athletes all day. And unfortunately, that's not what we do. But we do get some opportunity to do that. So yeah. And I'm responsible for theoretically the entire state, the 40,000 volunteers, theoretically. So I recruit volunteers. I help organize some of the training, obviously not all of it. We help onboard coaches, find and onboard coaches, interns, of course, and I help raise money. So a lot of companies these days don't want to just give you money. They want to have volunteer engagement. So I organize group events. So like next, the 27th, we're going to pack some bags at Cisco for our athletes to get at Winter Games. And yeah, so I organize events. I go and do a lot of speaking, a lot of networking. The reason they have me in this role is because I network all the darn time. So pretty much any week I'm going to be somewhere. And if that's something any of you are interested in doing, want to do that, you're welcome to join me. I'd be happy to have you as my guest at any of the many things that I'm doing. I'm doing a networking event tomorrow morning with the Morrisville Chamber of Commerce. And then I'm doing something on Friday. No, next Thursday and Friday. So all the time, if anybody needs to learn about networking, let me know. And I'll gladly have you join me. I will be networking at Meredith. I haven't set those dates on my calendar yet, but they have some awesome networking events. So I definitely encourage you to attend, Gracie. But yeah, so it's all kinds of things fall under my my role. Background checks. Anybody who doesn't pass a background check, I need to review why they didn't pass and send them a letter if it's something that means they can't volunteer with us. The policies are established. So I know we have somebody looking to law school. We have had many lawyers come up with these policies. So we have established policies that I have to review and any infraction and see, does that keep you from participating the most? The biggest reason why people, she's coming.
There we go. There we go.
Welcome, Andrea. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Stamm. I'm Vice President of Sports here for Special Olympics North Carolina. And just very excited to have you all joining us. And Tyleen, I'm very excited to see you. So I'll be excited to meet you all in person as you continue your internship with Special Olympics North Carolina.
Thank you.
No problem.
So tell us a little bit about the sports department, and then I got 1 or 2 questions for you.
Awesome. Great. So here in the sports department, I do have top 7 things that you should know. And if Kathy lets me share, I will
let me see if I'm
do my thing.
Fancy like that. You may co-host.
Sure.
And everybody, if you don't know Zoom, you need to learn some Zoom.
Guys are probably way better at it than we are. All right. Oops, that's the wrong one. Go. There we go. All right, so I've got a little. So the top 7 things you need to know. We're gonna go through these. So just quickly before we get to that is the basics of why do we get to use the word Olympics? Have we gone over any of that, Kathy?
No.
Awesome. Well, we get to use the word Olympics because there are only there's only one other organization that is allowed to use the word Olympics in their title, and that is the Junior Olympics. It is because both the Junior Olympics and Special Olympics have an agreement with the International Olympic Committee, so that's the 5-ring Olympics, and in order to use it. So if you hear any other place call it the Olympics, the Beer Olympics, the, I don't know, Domain Olympics, any of that, those are actually not allowed to use that. So fun fact there. The biggest impact of our athletes, the people who really are out there are really our coaches. And those are the ones who are out there and organized by the local level. So for us here in the sports department, while we do have we've built wonderful relationships with athletes here, we actually don't work directly with athletes. We work with volunteers and coaches. And just quickly, another reason why we get to use the word Olympics is because according to our agreement, we have to abide by the international rules and also have opening and closing ceremonies, as well as a few other things. But those are the main reasons. And then the role of the sport department is to uphold the Special Olympics mission and to provide and support sport programming throughout the state. So the first thing is that we are year round. It happens every hour of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year, somewhere around the world. We have multiple layers of Special Olympics activity, from towns and city programs to our showcase state level events, and of course, even on to regional events and USA and World Games. We are a training and competition organization. That's in our mission. Special Olympics is a training and competition organization for children and adults with intellectual disabilities. Okay, so just like the 5-ring Olympics, not everyone gets a medal, and unlike the 5-ring Olympics, everyone is awarded for their efforts. But here for training and competition, you can see some wonderful things. So we're not just track and field. We are, we have fitness, We have cycling, as you can see, and then those folks down there on the bottom right-hand corner are a bunch of golfers. The third thing that sets us apart, and of course that you should know about Special Olympics, is that divisioning is what we use. It is a process unique to Special Olympics, and we say it's rather an art than a science. This process places athletes into fair groups based on their age, gender, and ability, so everyone has a chance to go for the gold. There's no one overall winner in Special Olympics in terms of an event, so we won't have like one overall winner of the 100-meter freestyle or level 5, 18-hole individual play golf. There may be many gold, silver, bronze, and 4th place winners in the same event. And again, it's just based on age, gender, and then ability. And ability is typically like a qualifying score, or if it's golf, it's their handicap, etc. The other thing is, since we are an Olympic-based sports organization, the majority of the sports we offer you will find at the 5-Ring Olympics. Special Olympics North Carolina offers 20 of the 32 official Special Olympic sports and offers 2 that are classified by Special Olympics as regionally popular, like football and cheerleading. We do allow North Carolina programs to offer any sport that does not fall under the requirement of being pre-approved. Basically, it's no martial arts or shooting sports. And yes, people have asked if they could do those things, like archery. We don't do archery. So those are things that we do. And that is the number 4 thing you need to know. Number 5, it is children and adults with intellectual disabilities. So many people, they hear, oh, I work for Special Olympics. They're like, oh, isn't it great to work with the kids? And I'm always quick to say it is, but it's amazing to work with our athletes with intellectual disabilities who are adults. And the vast majority of who we interact with, especially on our level, are adults, because the rest of because the athletes who are in schools are in schools. And so they don't necessarily come to a lot of our state level events because they're just not old enough yet. So it's just not the 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome running down the track with a volunteer holding her hand. And then, spoiler alert, if I would have seen that, or hopefully if any of my officials would have seen that, they would have disqualified her, because you're not supposed to hold anybody's hand running down the track. So we do have lots of things that we do offer here. Number 6, sports volunteer training. We are in the wide world of sports here in the sports department. We have 4 total functional areas that we provide specific training for coaches. With coaches education, competition volunteers, awards volunteers, and results and GMS training for our volunteers. And then the last thing, number 7, community involvement. The sports department also oversees the coaches education program and sport development teams that are 2 distinct groups of volunteers that serve our athletes and our population in different ways. They serve as coach trainers, they serve as officials, they serve as recruiters for those 2 positions as well. And our sport development teams are year-round. So this is a group of people, it's a small group of people that basically are our sports brains. They are the ones who know the most about their sport. We in the sports department, we call ourselves kind of like jack of all trades. We might not know, we actually don't know all of the sports, sports rules, but we know who to ask and we know where to look. So those are the things. So we don't necessarily have to have all that sports knowledge in our head. We have resources. And really, when you get down to it, we are a resource procurement, right? It's mostly sports, and whether it's coaches or officials or really anything that has to do with sports, that's what we are. That's what we do. And then other ways our movement involves athletes with the community and involves the community with our athletes are campus recreation unified sports leagues. So that's where we do have the student population and Special Olympics athletes from the community come together on a campus and do intramurals. We do unified track and field within the school system, and then we have unified sports at some of our state level events. And so our sports staff, here's myself, Nathan Brookins, Stephanie Day are currently out in some meetings today. And so Nathan Brookins is our Senior Director of Sports, and Stephanie Day is our Unified Track Manager. And Hailey Miller, who I see has joined, she is one of our sport directors as well. So, and then we are hiring for another sport director. We do have one email. We each have our individuals, of course, but we do have an email that goes to all of us. So that way we tell volunteers that at least if you're emailing that, you're going to get all of us and somebody will be able to answer your question. And then lucky Tylene gets to be on that email as well. So, but that is the sports department. My hopefully quick spiel. We'll see. It's quick enough. That's Kathy.
Wow, that was awesome, Andrea. Thank you so much. Would you tell us how you got started with Special Olympics?
I will. I was an intern. So I went to graduate school at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, Massachusetts, and received my master's of sport management. And my internship was with Special Olympics Massachusetts. And so I did that. I won't tell you how many years ago, it's quite a few. And then luckily, after I finished my internship, it's one of those things I decided that this was the blend I was looking for with sports and event management. And so I was fortunate enough to get a job here, and I've been here ever since.
Well, awesome. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to have Hailey introduce herself in a second. Does anybody have any questions for Andrea?
I have one question. Just like how many coaches or like volunteers do you guys like manage on a day-to-day in the sport?
So that's a really good question because we don't necessarily manage them specifically. So we provide resources and we work with the local coordinators who are recruiting and managing their coaches within their program. But we do have, just by nature of what we do have a good number of coaches that we know that sometimes we involve them in other things, whether it's like we bring them in to be clinicians or we need some assistance or we have some specialty asks of them. And so, but we have, I would say about 500 coaches, I would say that are, at the higher echelons of our coach certification system, but throughout the state, people who would call themselves coaches, maybe they're not fully certified by our standards, but who, work with athletes within their local program, we probably have upwards of, 20,000 of them. So.
Great question. That is always the question that all of our funders want to know. Like, so crazy. Thank you so much, Andrea. And I particularly want to introduce Hailey because she is a semi-recent grad. Can you tell us a little bit about your role and how you came to be here?
Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Hailey Miller. I started with Special Olympics almost 2 years ago now. I went to NC State myself, so go Wolfpack for anyone out there that's going to NC State right now. I graduated December of 22 from there in sport management. And then right after that, it's when I got involved with Special Olympics. I started part-time as unified track manager. So that goes back to our unified sports. But during that time, I worked on getting my master's in business and then transitioned to full-time in this past March with sports. So one of our sport directors now. But yeah, like Andrea had mentioned, she went through those 7 things. One thing I'm working on right now is getting some clinicians for some coach trainings. But yeah, we're year round. There's always something going on in the sports world. So but we are excited to have you all. And if you ever have any questions, just reach out. I'm happy to help however I can.
Hailey, what parts of the state have you been in the past month or so?
Past month. Travel's been light for me. I know Andrea just went to Boone. So she got to experience that snowstorm. But yeah, I mean, nowhere in particular lately, but I mean, all the time, somewhere, Charlotte, Wilmington, any beach, any mountain. So
yeah, so we are responsible for the entire state. So some of us really cover the entire state, and some people, as Allie mentioned, are split up into East and West. But yeah, so it's a great opportunity for all of us. Any other questions for sports? So I was surprised myself when I learned that we had sailing. Did the interns know that we have sailing or some other sports that might surprise you? So no weapon sports. We don't even have real javelin. What are our javelins?
They're called they are mini javs, or the brand name is Turbo Jav.
But they're made out of
plastic and they have a rubber tip.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, many programs do them. Actually, they're training javelins too. That's what a lot of people train with. If you are a high school student.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well,
Trying
thank
to think.
you.
What's another one that maybe people don't think? Hailey is leading up our pickleball efforts. We have some programs who are offering cornhole. We call those lifetime sports because you can be older and creakier and you can do that. Cheerleading, that's one. That flag football, my personal favorite.
Oh, are we gonna do anything with dance? Wasn't that one that was like a possibility or something?
So it's really funny. We have lots of, as I had mentioned, we offer 20 of the 32 official sports, and dance sport is an official Special Olympic sport, but it is not something that we offer as an official sport. However, things like dance sport, even pickleball, and honestly, whatever anybody would like to do is something that I highly encourage all of our local programs to do and to use their resources, as long as obviously it's something that's safe as a rule set and that there are safety parameters in place. Because I do believe that our athletes really should have a well-rounded sports, background. Not everybody likes to run. I don't like to run. Not everybody wants to play like football. Some people just ski and that's fine. Some people just want to work out. And so that's, why I believe our So Good program is just, is a good thing for them. So, we do offer that in terms of when we say that we offer it as an official sport, it means that we offer it as a state level event. So that we offer it within our summer games, our fall tournament, our winter games, or our cheerleading tournament. And then we have a standalone equestrian tournament too. So that is what we mean by official sport. But
awesome. Well, that leads right into Vicki Tilley, who is our resident dance expert and our health director.
There we go.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Hailey and Andrea.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so
Thank
much for
y'all.
joining our team. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay, Vicki, welcome. Would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the health department?
Absolutely. And first of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us as interns. I think hopefully you'll have a great experience. And I know some have already been in the office and already begun to do some work with Morgan, who is part of our health team. My name is Vicki Tilley. I'm the health director, and I'm a physical therapist by background. And I'm going to share my screen if that's okay, Kathy.
Let me make you co-host.
Thank you. I have a little PowerPoint to help us with this talking about health. And I don't know if you're aware that we just had a great talk about sports and do I need to? Okay. You had a great overview about what's going on from a sports standpoint, and Special Olympics is primarily a sports organization, but it was definitely realized many years ago, over 20 years ago, that if you're not healthy, then competing is not much fun, or you're not competing at your best. So, am I co-host now? Can I share? Okay.
You should be good. Sorry, I muted myself.
That's no problems. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to share, and we are going to start from my slide. Come on. It's not letting me start from my slide. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Special Olympics health side of things. First of all, just some statistics that we know because of health screenings we've been doing. Our athlete population, individuals with IDD, are 5 times more likely to have diabetes. They're 3 times more likely to have arthritis, which starts at a younger age. 2 times more likely than the neurotypical population to have some sort of heart disease or asthma. And they generally die 16 years earlier than the general population on average, which means that they're not receiving or not having as healthy a lifestyle as they could. Also from screenings we've done, we know that out of 10 athletes that we would see, at least 8 are overweight or obese. 7 have some significant flexibility issues around their joints. 4 out of 10 need a new prescription, and 2 out of 10 have some sort of eye disease that's not been diagnosed. 3 out of 10 will fail a hearing test. 3 out of 10 have a low bone mineral density, meaning they're osteoporotic and at higher risk for fractures. 3 out of 10 have untreated tooth decay, and 1 out of 10 needs an urgent referral to a dentist. And so if you think about that statistic out of 10, that's actually a really high number of athletes when we have thousands involved in our organization. So what do we do? My job, and what I know some of you I think are going to be helping us with, are our health and fitness activities. And this is one way where we have health happening in kind of multiple prongs within the organization. So first are our healthy athlete screens, which are health screenings that are done and provided free to all the athletes, mostly at a games type event, though we do some as a standalone event. But if you join us at one of our larger games events, you'll probably see us doing some health screenings as well. We do Fit Feet, which is done by podiatrists, and we're looking at foot and ankle and skin and nails and the sensation of the feet and proper fit of shoes. Fun Fitness, which is done primarily with physical therapists and students, and that's looking at their sports readiness and things like flexibility and balance. Health Promotion, we're looking at blood pressure, bone density, and good nutritional health. This is generally done by nutritionists and social workers. Healthy Hearing is done by audiologists, and we are doing hearing tests to pick up hearing loss. MedFest is our sports physical. So this is generally done with physicians, PAs, nurse practitioners, and nurses to help us with a sports exam to make sure that physically an athlete is okay to participate at the level they are wanting to participate. Opening Eyes is our vision screen, and we do check vision. And at our events, we're able to create an eyeglass prescription, which we can then send off and get eyeglasses free for our athletes. Special Smiles is our dental event, and they do dental screens, and we teach them appropriate flossing, brushing, and if we have the personnel, we can also make mouth guards for safety. And then Strong Minds is our emotional health and well-being screen, where we're talking about stress, competition stress, behavior management, and ways to help manage stress using different techniques. So all of these screens are, as I said, are done for free. And we have volunteers, volunteer clinicians in all these different disciplines, and volunteers that help us during the screens, and then with some data management after the screens. Our second kind of prong of health is our Healthy Communities program, where we go into the community and provide inclusive health education to universities, to different medical provider programs. And we also have a interprofessional education module program, which is offered virtually. So if any of you are interested or want to talk with me about bringing an inclusive health talk to your classrooms, to your classes, to your other students, or you want to do an IPE module program, because I know a few of you are interested in the healthcare field, then please talk with me, because we are trying to develop those partnerships with a lot of the academic and community college programs across the state to try to increase awareness of the health needs of our population, and to advocate for our healthcare providers to have more inclusive, open and feel better working and treating our sports, our athlete population. Along with our Healthy Communities program, we work with work with athlete leaders to train them to become health messengers and fitness leaders. So we're building a group of athletes that have a little more training in some leadership skills to go and talk about positive health, good healthy lifestyles, and to try to be colleagues and work with their friends to increase that desire to become a healthier athlete. Kathy, I heard, or Andrea mentioned So Good, and like I said, I think a few of you are already beginning to work with Morgan on our fitness program, So Good. But fitness is another prong that we are addressing, and that is thinking about how you're going to have a healthy lifestyle all year round. As Andrea was mentioning, we may have an athlete that does skiing, but then doesn't do anything else. So once that ski season is over, they may not be engaging and participating in activities that help to keep them fit. So we want to offer ways for them to do that. And for us, fitness means physical activity, nutrition, and hydration, along with some good emotional health and well-being types of activities. And so all of that is incorporated in our So Good program, which is offered to all of our athletes, families, coaches, local coordinators, everyone, our schools. And it involves messaging on a weekly basis for 8 weeks in all of these areas, so that we try to touch on it every week and have athletes and school classrooms track it and engage together through the Goose Chase application, and also during weekly webinars that we hold twice a week during our fitness season, to keep athletes involved and to try to continue to bring the message of a healthy lifestyle to them throughout the year. And then, as I said, we offer inclusive health trainings, which we're really trying to do to increase awareness and to try to work with our insurance and government systems to improve coverage. To, if you think about it, you think about when you go to see the doctor, what kind of gets in your way? I know my daughter's in college, and when I talk to her about going to the doctor, first thing that comes up is, well, do I have insurance so that I can go to the doctor and not have to pay for it? And our athletes face the same kinds of issues, and then the barriers of transportation and communication and things like that. So the inclusive health curriculum and education and training is to increase awareness to the provider side of things, and to those insurance companies and government agencies to help us advocate for increasing the ease and ability for athletes and their families to get the resources that they need, and many times are available to them, but they just don't know how to get them. So as interns, you'll probably be helping us with doing some data management, possibly being out there helping us with some fitness engagement and interactions as we move into the spring. And I know Morgan has got you off on a great start for those that are working with the So Good program.
Thank you, Vicki. Can you tell us how you got started with Special Olympics?
Sure. I've been with Special Olympics for over close to 30 years now, actually. And I started by volunteering at the World Games when they were held at NC State campus in Raleigh in 1999. And I helped our North Carolina physical therapy chapter do the whole health program was just kind of starting then. And so we, as physical therapists, we did a flexibility screen. And then I wanted to work with Special Olympics. And so I was a little pushy and I got myself to the table with Special Olympics. And so I worked with the team to develop the fun fitness screen that we do as part of our Healthy Athletes program.
As a staff member or as a volunteer?
No, well, I started as a volunteer and then I became a consultant. So for about 20 years, I was considered a global consultant because I worked more with SOI, and I worked with kind of helping with that development of the screen in all of our different regions around the world. And as things go, things mature, and they now have clinicians as part of the Special Olympics health team with Special Olympics International. So they moved away from using consultants, and that was when I looked for North Carolina and found that their health director was open, and still that way I can focus and work with all of our athletes across the state, and so that's trying to really work and help 40,000 athletes across the state, and really work closely with our partnerships in the state. So it's a different way of working with the organization, but one in which I get to be more entrenched and involved personally with our athletes, which I really enjoy.
Awesome.
And working with staff and all of you as you're kind of experiencing things for the first time with Special Olympics.
So Vicki, just to let you know, Reagan and Lee are two of the So Good interns, Lee Jeffries and Reagan Williford. So yeah. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Vicki? She's been a health director for how many years with SOMC?
About 2.5 years now. Yep.
Awesome. And she's a ballroom dancer. So that's how
yes.
my comment was.
And I ballroom dance. So I've been asking about getting dance sports started. So we may be doing it in one of our local counties. Yeah, but as I said, if you're interested in one of the healthcare professions, I know a couple of our interns, and I looked through who was interested in what. One, I think, was interested in being an OT. One was interested in being PT. I am more than happy to answer questions. Number one, about that professional side of things, because I've gone through all of that and had a private practice for many years. But number two, kind of how being a healthcare provider and working within an organization like this brings a really valuable point of view to what the work we're doing within Special Olympics. And anybody interested in that inclusive health training out, like in your classrooms, with your colleagues and friends, just let us know.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Lee, welcome to our training. Appreciate you joining us. Let's see. No other questions for Vicki? Vicki, I might let you go.
Okay.
We've got Susan in a minute. So yeah, so she'll be on. But thank you so much, Vicki. I really appreciate the slides and all that.
Oh, sure. And again, welcome everybody. Please say hi if you're in the office.
Well, we'll give you a tour, show you where Vicki's office is.
All right. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Thank you. So we are running ahead of schedule, thankfully. So Susan is going to join us at about 2:50, and then Lindsay's going to join about 3:15. Kristine's going to join about, that's what I was doing. I was texting everybody about 3:45, and then Katie at 3:30, Kristine at 3:45. So we should wrap up close to 4. So I'll give you a half an hour theoretically of your lives back. So I do appreciate everybody's patience with sitting through all this. Jacob, I would ask that after you're hearing everybody, if there's a particular department you're interested in, let me know. We can chat. And we'll figure something out. So yeah, so health, they like data people. Unified Champion Schools is very focused on schools, of course. And then I think those are the main 2 openings that we have. So for all the other interns, I was trying to add the intern flyer, and I'll just email it to you because for some reason it does not want to allow me to attach something from my computer right now. But if you guys can get the word out that we're still looking for a couple of spring interns, but then we are, of course, doing all this again for the summertime and looking for, another 9 or 10 interns for the summer. So yeah, it'd be great if you guys, I'll email that to you if you have anybody you want to share it with. And I'll let you know those 2 departments that we're focused on. So let me add that to my list. Intern. And we do have it on our LinkedIn. We have an old post about needing interns. I don't know if it made it to our Facebook. I would encourage any of you to follow us on LinkedIn. I'll put that in the chat. Let me see. So, and as I said, I do training, which is particularly good for some anybody. I have found employees through LinkedIn, reaching out cold. So awesome. Lee, I'll have to talk to Morgan about scheduling something directly conflicting with my orientation. Gosh, anyway, so let me share this Special Olympics North Carolina with you. And Susan should be on. Let me see if she's in the waiting room. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So hopefully Susan will jump on in a second, and Susan heads up our development. She'll tell you all about it. And yes, I don't want to nag her too much. This is going to be torture for anybody watching this on a recording. If I was nice, I would edit it. Let's see. So, okay. Anyway, so no questions. Feel free to ask any questions. We could do our stretching. So yeah, and if anybody needs, so I know, Tylene, we're going to work with paperwork. I don't know if anybody else on here needs paperwork or anything done for school, but if you do, you can work through me, and I will assist with that. And if it's something I can handle, I will, or we'll work with your supervisor. Obviously, I won't be working directly with everybody, but I can answer, the basics that they typically ask. So yeah. And make sure you register for the event management training. I did just send out invites for a little breakout directly after that training. We'll stay on the same Zoom and just do a little 15 minutes, catch up with all the interns, get to know each other, and do a quick training or planning, just really quick after that training. So I don't know when else all of your schedules will align, because they just don't. Everybody's on a different schedule. Aside from that, I'm here for you guys, for anything that you may need. If there's just anything that comes up, let me know. If you don't get passwords and stuff, let me know. You have any kind of difficulties, let me know. And there's Susan. She's very, very prompt. Okay, so she'll be here in a second, and we will let Susan introduce herself.
Hey, how are you? I can only see you, Kathy.
Oh, I'm great, Susan. So we have Tylene, who's doing sports in Mecklenburg County, Gracie, who's doing events, Reagan and Lee are doing SO Good, and Serenity's in development. So working more closely with you and Veronica. And then Jacob is going to help me or another department, and we're still figuring that out. I just, we had our final interview yesterday, so I just had him join orientation. So we're still figuring things out. But I will let you introduce yourself. And obviously, I don't think you have any slides to share since you're in the car.
I don't know. No, welcome to all. So just first of all, thank you all for, choosing Special Olympics North Carolina for your internship opportunity this spring. I am Susan Doggett. I am the Senior Vice President of Development. I have been with Special Olympics for, I think 16 years now. I've lost count after 15, but I think I'm about 16 years. So I feel like yesterday I was an intern looking for internships. And so I actually tried to intern with Special Olympics when I was in undergrad, and I did not get the internship. So it's funny that now here I sit 16 years later as Senior VP of Development, head of the development department. But I went to Barton College for undergrad and East Carolina for my master's, and have a bunch of degrees in business and sports and exercise and sports science, but always had a passion for sports, and so kind of led me to this career. I am in the development department, so you will know that Special Olympics North Carolina is a 501c3, so it is a nonprofit. We do not charge our athletes a fee to participate. So in order to open it up so that all with intellectual disabilities are able to participate, there is no fee charged to the athlete or the family. So everything that we do in the organization is through private support. We do get a little bit of government support for our Unified Champion schools as well as our health programs, but then we also work with special event fundraisers. We have individual donors. We work with corporate sponsorships. So really, we just try to maintain a large array of opportunities for people to donate and contribute. We operate on about a $7 million budget each year. We work off of a calendar year. So if you are looking to pursue a career in nonprofit, most nonprofits, are the same and carrying that kind of 501c3 designation. And again, we work starting January 1st. We reset and look to raise the $7 million again. And then again, come next year, January, we do the same thing. So, so again, it is, hopefully you'll familiarize yourself, just through your time and through your work. I know that we do have Claire and Serenity who will be working in development a little closer with our development team on some of our upcoming fundraising projects. And so you'll really get to kind of engulf yourself in the world of development and fundraising and see how that kind of works when it relates to nonprofit fundraising. But, for others that are working, in sports or So Good or any of the, other just volunteer management working with some of our sports, would also love to always say in these intern orientations to really just, go on the website, familiarize yourself with our sponsors. If you do start, wearing some of the Special Olympics gear around, you will notice that people Publix is a huge sponsor of ours. They, donate close to $200,000. And so if you're at Publix and wearing something Special Olympics, 9 times out of 10 someone will say something to you about it. And so just not always nice to know who their supporters are of the nonprofit in which you're associated with. And then also on the homepage and on our website, if you do some website browsing, you'll notice just a lot of our different events coming up. We are heavy right now in polar plunge season. So if you know anyone that would love to raise $50 and jump into a freezing body of water somewhere around the state, we have a lot of events, a lot of polar plunges happening here from January until March. So it's a really heavy polar plunge season for us. We will then turn around into a plane pull event where teams of 7 get together and pull a plane. And then we also have rappelling events where you raise money and rappel down the side of a building. And so we have a lot of different opportunities to get involved, as well as golf tournaments and all things like that. So lots of opportunities to get involved. Love to always say, personally try to get involved and do something, and, invite your friends and family out to get involved and share in what we're doing. But again, just here, if you have any questions or any interest, as it relates to fundraising or nonprofit development, always have a open door and can reach out, and happy to kind of answer any questions for you. And again, look forward to working with Serenity and Claire specifically just for the development internship this year.
Okay.
So any questions or anything? Yeah.
I thought I was a fast talker. How did you get started with Special Olympics?
Yeah, really through, I went to ECU. So in our master's program, we worked through campus recreation. I was a GA for the campus recreation program, and we helped run the spring games each year for Pitt County. So, did 2 years of spring games and kind of, worked as the games management team for that event. And then a position opened, as soon as I graduated from ECU, and here I am. And came onto the program, came into Special Olympics in sports, working really with the community resource department. I see Lindsay just joined. You'll learn about that here in a minute. But came in through that realm of working with our athletes and our local programs to build out those different sports opportunities, and then have transitioned into fundraising since.
Awesome. Well, great. Do any of the interns have any questions? Feel free to chat or just speak up if you have a question. Okay. Well, Susan, thank you so much for your whirlwind on development there. We do have, what do we have, 30 polar plunges?
I think that's 30 plus now. Yeah, we keep adding some, so they keep growing, but
there's a plunge for everybody. We didn't put it as requirement that interns had to plunge.
We should look at doing that next spring for sure. Or at least dip a toe or 2 chicken or something, some aspects of it.
There you go. Spread the word about it for sure. Anyway, awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Susan. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Al.
Bye. Awesome. Lindsay, thank you for joining early. So we've got Tylene, who is from NC State. And our so good interns are abandoning us because Morgan scheduled a meeting at the same time. So anyway, we have Tylene from NC State, Jacob from Elon, Gracie from Meredith, Reagan's jumping off, she's UNC, Serenity is at NCCU, and Lee is having to jump off as well, and I missed Lee's school. Anyway, so now we have 4. But we are recording this, so we're going to share. And all told, we have 9 interns, and most have been able to join part of this. So we really appreciate your time. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself in the department.
Of course. Well, nice to meet you all. I'm Lindsay Waldron, Vice President of Community Resources. I actually started working with Special Olympics North Carolina in 2001, but I know I'm not that old, but anyway, I actually did an internship in college at UNCG with Special Olympics. I was an exercise sports science major and needed to do an internship to graduate. And Special Olympics had an internship open, and so that's how I started with the organization. And then Keith actually hired me right as soon as I graduated, and I have been here ever since, and always worked what we call the field. I oversee. We have the way that we're structured is by county for Special Olympics North Carolina, and many of you may or may not have volunteered at your local, like Susan was just talking about, your local spring games, which is what most people know about as the annual track and field event that happens in each county. But basically what my department does, we have a fairly large team of 7 people that oversee these local programs in each county. So we make sure that there is a volunteer that is in place in each county that oversees that program, and they do everything from raising their budget to recruiting athletes and coaches and a local committee to securing volunteers for that county program. So my staff make sure we just make sure that everyone is doing their job accordingly to what we like to see happen out in the field. Of course, we are a grassroots organization, and that means that the majority of our athletes and the majority of our reach happen at the local program level. As you can imagine, I think you've probably heard that we have nearly 45,000 athletes within Special Olympics North Carolina. The majority of those are being reached at what we call the local level, which is what we oversee. We also, like I mentioned, we make sure that there are local committees to help support that local volunteer within the county to run that program. The way that we recruit our local program committee or coordinators is through 3 different avenues. We have many of our programs are operated through Parks and Recreation, where that means that they're still a volunteer to us to oversee that local program, but they are paid through Parks and Recreation as part of their job to be that local program coordinator and oversee the program for us. We currently have 44 of our local programs operated through Parks and Recreation, which is obviously a newer trend. This trend has been growing for the past probably 10 years because it's a win-win, for especially our larger programs to be able to, the Parks and Recreation are looking to be able to offer inclusive opportunities through Parks and Recreation. We are a natural fit to that model. And so we get a lot of interest from that when we have a transition in a local coordinator. We also have local coordinators that are school-based. Of course, those are still volunteers to us to oversee that program, but they are employed through the local school system. They are in that county. And then we have general, what we call a community-based coordinator, and that's just maybe a family member or someone within the community that's looking for a rewarding volunteer opportunity and leadership opportunity. So we do have those folks as well. Again, I always say, I've always worked the field for my 20 plus years with Special Olympics, and my day is never the same because I never know what is going to come up, across the state of North Carolina that may need to be handled within one of the local programs. So we do, of course, we have a lot of policies and procedures and trainings that we do for all of our programs and volunteers to include, setting standards and expectations for all of our athletes and coaches. And then we are also the department that when things do not go so well at a state level event or even at a local practice, obviously sports are intense. And even at the Special Olympics, here we see intense games and unsportsmanlike conduct does happen. And we are that department that deals with those instances to work through, maybe removing a coach or an athlete, and making sure that everybody is staying up to speed and up to par to our standards. So in a nutshell, that's community resources. We're on the road a good bit. We're a big state, and I think it's a fun, great job. So questions for me? Or Kathy, do you want me to touch on anything else?
Where'd you go to school?
I went to UNCG.
Oh, okay. And so
Yeah.
you interned while you were there. Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what I ask everybody, how they get started. Were you involved in Special Olympics before interning?
Actually, no. My aunt was a Special Olympics athlete in Ohio. And so I grew up, around her. And so when my advisor, came to me with exercise sports science, and she was like, I don't know if you've ever thought of going this route with your degree, but, Special Olympics is looking for an intern. And I was like, wow, I never thought of that. That's a great, different angle of exercise and sports, right? And I was like, I actually, have an aunt that is an athlete, and she's been a big part of my family. And I was like, I think I'm going to give it a shot. And then it was funny because day 2 of my internship, he was the area director, so very similar to our staff that oversees the programs. He resigned, and so I basically had to step in as the area director and learn the job. And so it kind of worked out in my favor, because then when I finished my internship and graduated, Keith was like, well, you did a great job, and we have this opening up in Asheville, and I'm originally from Asheville, and so I took that area job and moved back to Asheville and been here ever since. So
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That happening, interns.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. And it's crazy because I've worked, I've worked in different parts. I've lived in different parts of the state. So I'm in Charlotte now, but started in the mountains, worked the far east, when I was married, and oversaw that part of the state, did a small stint in Raleigh. And so the only place I haven't really overseen is the Wilmington area. So it's very interesting. So yeah. Anyway, enough about me.
That's
Yeah.
great. I always think that you and the community resources director sometimes have the hardest jobs. So
Well, because there's not a book on how to do it. We're dealing with a lot of people, a lot of personalities, a lot of transition, because they're volunteers, and it's a revolving door. But then we kind of have our hand in every aspect of the organization. We deal with schools, we deal with health, we deal with volunteers. With you, we kind of dabble in a little bit of everything. So we're kind of a smorgasbord, I guess.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Lindsay about what to say if they're like, hey, take on this real job?
Yeah.
That was like that was like 20 some years ago.
Yeah. It was a while ago, Kathy. Yeah. But yeah, happy to be a resource for any of the interns, really. If you all need anything, or if you're wanting to get involved in your local program where you go to school, whatever, happy to help.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you so much. I am hoping we are ahead of time, so I'm trying to get some folks to join us so people don't have to just listen to me talk.
Yeah.
But thank you. If anybody has any questions, just yell them out or put them in chat. Otherwise, we will let Lindsay get on with whatever surprising thing she has to do today. Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Here. Awesome. Okay, we are gonna see. I've asked Katie from Communications if she'd be able to jump on early. Let me see. That's a possibility. I would pause. If I pause the recording now, I'm going to try. I have learned I will build break time in next time I do this. Uh-oh. Shoot. Welcome, Katie.
Hello, how's it going?
We are learning everything about SONC. You're like the 8th staff member, so we've got Tylene from NC State. She's working with sports in Mecklenburg County. Gracie is working with events. She's from Meredith. Serenity is working with development. She's from NCCU. Jacob's from Elon, and we're working on who he's going to work with.
Hey, I guess everybody's burnt out. That's why all the cameras are off.
Maybe somebody will turn their camera on for us. They were really good, but this is a lot. There's just no better way for me to do it that I know of.
A lot, yeah. Well, I will go ahead and get started. Let me remember how to do this. Hold on.
Let me make you co-host if you're sharing.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, that's sorry. Co-host. Okay. There you go.
Okay, can everybody, you might have to speak for this one. Can you see my screen?
Tylene,
There.
here we go.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Oh, hold on. I just lost it now. Let me try that one more time because I did something. Okay, there we go. Okay, so hi, I'm Katie, and I am the Senior Director of Marketing and Communications for Special Olympics North Carolina. So me and one other person make up the communication staff for SONC. It is me, and I've got my old title on there. I forgot to update that. And then we've got Izzy Hendershot. She's our communications manager. Izzy is just a year out of college, so she was in your shoes not that long ago. And together, the two of us make up the communication staff, basically. We work together on a lot of things, but I'll get into that in just a little bit. First things first, I want to get into how SONC, where we are, how it started, all of that. How much have you guys had background-wise for Special Olympics? How much history have you learned about Special Olympics?
We have not learned this particular history.
Okay, awesome. So does anybody here have any background with Special Olympics? Have you worked with Special Olympics or something similar in the past before? And
Jacob, Gracie, Serenity, any
I
of
have not, no.
No, I don't.
No? Okay, that's totally fine. So I'll go over how we started. So we were founded by a woman named Eunice Kennedy Shriver, and Eunice was the sister of our president, JFK, John F. Kennedy. Hopefully you've heard of the Kennedy family. They are a very big political family, and she was his sister, one of like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 siblings, something like that. And the Kennedys were a big sports family. They grew up in Massachusetts. They're very athletic. But they had a sister named Rosemary who had an intellectual disability. And so back in those days, this was a long time ago. Back in those days, people with intellectual disabilities and disabilities in general really weren't kept in around their families or in the public view. They were sent to institutions. And gratefully, luckily, we've really moved beyond that. As a society, but that was the standard back in the day, and so it was no different for Rosemary. She was sent to live in an institution, and they really only got to see her on holidays and family gatherings and stuff like that. But one thing that they found when they were able to see her is that they were able to bond with her through sports, and that she loved sailing, she loved playing cricket with them, she loved being athletic and competing with her siblings. So that was kind of the inspiration and the spark for Special Olympics. And so we held our very first Special Olympics games in 1968 on Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. Soldier Field is where the Chicago Bears still play today. So Chicago is our birthplace. Those very first games, 6 North Carolinians attended and competed. In those first games. So we've been really a part of Special Olympics since its inception. But SONC officially started and was chartered in 1970. Once those coaches got back from the first games in 1968, they hit the ground running, they got to work, and they started hosting smaller competitions around the state for people, really starting in Greensboro and growing from there. And they were able to get their chapter chartered officially in 1970. So where are we now? We have SONC, which is Special Olympics North Carolina, but we're under umbrellas. So SOI is Special Olympics International, and that's our largest umbrella. Under that, we have Special Olympics North America. And then under that, we have Special Olympics North Carolina. And then under North Carolina, we have sub-programs, or what we call local programs. And so most of our local programs are split up by county. So you'll see it be like Special Olympics Wake County or Special Olympics Mecklenburg County. In Elon, it would be Special Olympics Alamance County. We're split up that way. And then we have some agencies like Special Olympics Lake Norman, some group homes and some developmental centers like the Murdoch Center, and they are their own Special Olympics sub-program for North Carolina. There are, I think, 192 countries across the globe, something like that, that have Special Olympics programs. And so they all have their own Special Olympics accredited program. And then in the United States, all 50 states have their own program as well. And they are running that way. All right. So what do we do? So Izzy and I, like I said, we'll get into this. We are involved in every single event, and we work with every single department. So it might be likely that you guys will work with us at some point in time during your internship. From there, Izzy and I split things between us, though we work on a lot of our stuff together, or a lot of things might come to me as the lead of our department, and then I work with Izzy to determine on what we're going to work on, she's going to work on versus what I'm going to work on. So here we just have some things that are primarily my responsibility versus Izzy's responsibility: email marketing, traditional media, branding, etc. Izzy really works on our social media, our feature stories, and our media rep program and stuff like that. And then we work on a lot of this stuff like the website and press releases and all that together. So you'll at some point probably work with us if you need a flyer, if you need help updating the website or something like that. You might come to us and we'll work together. So let's get into language and branding and all of that fun stuff. So we have a style guide. I'm not going to show you this. It's a 17-page document. I won't get into it. This is really important for staff members to know, and interns are not creating documents and not creating graphics or anything like that where you really need to know the style guide. But if that does come up, then this is really important for you to know. But this just goes over how we write things, what we're writing, how we're writing it. But language guidelines are really important for you to be aware of. So over here on the right, you can see this little graphic that kind of goes over some of our language guidelines. So something you might hear quite frequently is the Special Olympics. You might have even said it yourself. I'm going to intern with the Special Olympics. We do not use the, and we do not use of. We are not Special Olympics of North Carolina, nor are we the Special Olympics. We are Special Olympics North Carolina. you are interning with Special Olympics this season. There's no the, no of. That's a big one. And then we always have an S on the end of Olympics. So we're not going to the Olympic Games. You're not seeing or talking to an Olympic, a Special Olympic athlete. It is a Special Olympics athlete. It's Special Olympics Games. We also use person first language. Has anybody here, it's okay if it's a no, has anybody here ever heard of person first language and can tell me what that is? If it's a no, pipe up and say no.
No. No, I haven't.
No? Okay. So person first language is basically like when you're talking about like a disability or something like that, you're putting the person before the identity. And that's the other option is identity first language. So if you are talking to a person with Down syndrome, you're referring to them as just that. They are a person first, person with Down syndrome. Or you'd say this person has autism, not they're an autistic person. Now, some communities in the disability community, there are a lot of like sub communities, like the autism community, like fetal alcohol syndrome, like Down syndrome. There's a bunch of different communities and they might prefer something different. They might prefer that identity first language. But as a general rule for Special Olympics, we are always going to use person first when writing or speaking on behalf of the organization. And then no Olympians. So we do not own the word Olympian. We are not allowed to use that word per the International Olympic Committee. So we are not allowed to call them Special Olympians. And we're not allowed to call them that. Now, if you hear other people, like a news reporter, call them Olympians, it's really, it's okay. But just know that like us as people working on behalf of Special Olympics, we are not allowed to use that word. And then last, it's not just for the kids. You might hear people say that, especially volunteers, people who've been around for a really long time might say, I do it for the kids. It's so great to be out there around the kids. But the majority of our athletes are actually adults, and there's no upper age limit for Special Olympics athletes. So it's always important to make sure that we're being inclusive and saying that, you know, we do it for the athletes or something like that instead of just focusing in on the kids that are part of this organization. Any questions on that so far? Nope. Okay. Then branding guidelines. This is just a little bit for you guys to know. So if you're using our logo on anything, our logo is composed of the properties on the right-hand side. So you've got our symbol, which is the little people ball standing like this. You might hear it called the seal, the symbol, the meatball, the people ball, whatever you want to call it. But that is a part of our logo in addition to the logo type here, the Special Olympics, and then our accredited program name goes below that. Now, these all have to appear together. There are several different options for logos. We have a stacked logo, like you can see behind me on my my background here. We have a single line version of this. There are approved versions of these logos, but they must all appear with these properties together. You can never use the symbol by itself. These are our primary colors that we're allowed to use. Our font is called Ubuntu. I don't know what you might be working on while you are doing your internship, but if you ever have questions about what logos to use, please reach out to me and I can help make sure you've got the right one. When in doubt, ask me, Katie. Social media. If you're not following us already, I highly encourage you do so. So we've got platforms on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, LinkedIn, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. So we're on all of these platforms. If you're using any of those, I do recommend that you follow us. We post basically every day, and you can see some of the stuff that's going on. Then publication. So communications works heavily with the publications of our organization. So if you're ever in need of like a flyer or a poster, save the date, whatever it may be, you're going to come to us to create that for you. Requests come from local coordinators at the local program level. They come from staff. They come from the law enforcement that we're working with that raise funds for us. It comes from all over, and we're working with them on all of that. We do a lot of our work on Canva, just so people can share things easily, but interns are not permitted to work on Canva. And so unfortunately, that will not be a part of your internship. But if you need anything and it comes up that you need to ask for a flyer or somebody needs a flyer, make sure that you reach out to the communication staff and we will help you with that. Then our website. So we have our website. We use WordPress. We've got weekly website needs. We've got a weekly website meeting so we can update all of our website needs. If you ever are asked to send website edits, then you would send them to me. Try to give 2 business days notice if you are sending any edits. If maybe you're working with sports and someone says that there needs to be some edits made to a page, then, you know, try to make sure that you send those edits within two business days so that we can get those up in a timely manner. Just remember, if you have any questions, ask. I'm always around and happy to help. So if you do have any questions that you need help with, communications is here. We're working on every event, so it's more than likely that we'll work with you at some point. So yeah, thank you so much. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out.
How did you get involved in Special Olympics, Katie?
So I was a former intern with Special Olympics Virginia. I interned between my junior and senior year of college, and I found that opportunity on, I think, Indeed.com, and I really wanted to work with a nonprofit, and it just sounded perfect. So I applied, and I stayed in contact with my supervisor. And when North Carolina had a job opening, my supervisor recommended me, and I applied, and here I am 9 years later.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Jacob, Serenity, Tylene, do you guys have any questions?
I don't have one at the moment, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much, Katie. I see that Kristine has joined us, so we can have the best last, and then we'll wrap this up, and yeah, and you guys can have your day back. So Kristine Hughes, thank you for joining us. If you would do a quick introduction and all that, that'd be awesome.
Thank you. I'm Kristine Hughes. I'm the SONC Athlete Leadership Manager, and I'm also a Special Olympics athlete for Wake County. Currently compete and train in golf. I wear many hats within this organization. I'm an athlete official, athlete coach. I'm an athlete clinician, so I teach people, new coaches, on how to train, coach Special Olympics athletes. Also teach people how to, folks without intellectual disability, change their way of thinking about folks with intellectual disability within the workforce or outside of Special Olympics, among other things. I've traveled to multiple USA Games and World Games as an athlete official for volleyball. And then in 2022 and 2023, I served as the first ever athlete from North Carolina to be an assistant technical delegate for the volleyball venue. So I stepped up from being an official for volleyball to now helping to plan and run the venue. I've been selected for the 2026 USA Games in Minneapolis, Minnesota as a co-ATD. So I love this organization, and that's why I do so much, and I give back.
Wow, awesome. So what opportunities are there for athletes beyond sports? I know you referenced some, but what are the opportunities you manage for other athletes?
Well, we have athletes that are trained as spokespersons. They are allowed to speak on behalf of Special Olympics North Carolina, talking to prospective donors, to prospective coaches, athletes, among other things. And we also have athlete ambassadors. They're athletes that may not be comfortable in giving speeches, but they can give short messages like, would you like to make a donation to Special Olympics North Carolina? Would you like to buy a t-shirt? or thank you for supporting Special Olympics North Carolina at our various state level and local level events that go on, because the public wants to see the people that benefit from their donations or their whether it's food or money, they want to see who benefits. And so we have them do that. We also have athletes as coaches. They take the same training that anybody else that comes into Special Olympics that wants to be coached. They start as assistant coaches and they can work their way to a head coach. We have a state level athlete council, which actually is meeting next weekend with the new members coming in every January. We bring in new members. We're bringing in 10 new members this year, which is great for us.
Awesome.
We've not had that much before.
It's great. Athlete council comes from across the state, right?
Yes, we try to pull from enough from the West, Central, and East to have a good representation.
Many athletes help fundraise, not as an official duty, but and Kristine is a number one fundraiser, I think.
I think Dalton beats me at that.
Okay.
And maybe a few others. But no, I love to fundraise. That's been my gift. I'm not afraid to ask for money. Never have been. But we do train athletes on how to fundraise. But I actually created a training that I'm working on to hopefully complete it soon. Awesome. That will actually become an official training to help those athletes that maybe aren't so comfortable at asking for money.
That's great. And have you ever done the polar plunges, any of the plunges?
I was going to do it this year, but unfortunately, I can't because of my shoulder. But I made a bet with my local program coordinator and lost. So I told her, even if I can't do it this year, I'll do it next year. I don't typically like to jump into ice cold water. I would rather rappel 30 stories down the well, it's 19 stories now, but I did 30 stories. I'd rather do that than jump into ice cold water.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, great. And I noticed for the Publix, you had almost 150 athletes volunteer last week.
Yeah, we would have had more thanks to the ice and snowstorm. We lost a few, but that's okay. I mean, we have what, 57 or more Publix stores that are doing a state level fundraiser. So it started on the 17th, I think, on the 10th. The first athlete visit was last Saturday, where athletes would go to the store and they talk to the customers and thank them for donating or would you like to donate? And they all, I think every athlete likes Publix. And then we have it this weekend too. So if you like to shop at Publix and you want to meet an athlete, go this Saturday, from 12 to 2, and you possibly can meet an athlete if the weather's good. I haven't checked this weather today, this time around, but, and then you can make a donation if you like.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. I think I've exhausted the interns with this 3 hours almost of orienting. But we really appreciate your time. Just one more question that I have, unless someone else has one. When did you get started with Special Olympics, Kristine, and how?
Well, I'm quite the unique story. I didn't find out that I was eligible for Special Olympics my whole life until I got part of my adoption report in 2000, which showed that I had an intellectual disability. So 2000 and before 2000, I had served my country. I've been a forest firefighter in California for the California Conservation Corps. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school and college. I also did have a chance to volunteer for a Special Olympics event at the San Jose City, I believe it's San Jose City College, I think it is. And I was putting medals around their necks. I was a day of volunteer, and I had no idea what Special Olympics was. So then I got started in 2002 after I found out in Special Olympics, Idaho. I lived there till 2008 and then moved here. And I've grown so much thanks to Special Olympics North Carolina.
Yes, I met you, I think in 2005, maybe. Could that have been possible? No, that's too early.
It might have been. I don't know.
I think that's too early. I just remember meeting you at Walnut Creek.
Oh, at the Summer Games?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember what year it was. Anyway, thank you so much, Kristine. It looks like we don't have any questions. I am going to share this recording so people may have questions later, but maybe we'll be able to do another tour so when people come to the office. So thank you so much. Thank you, Jacob, Serenity, and Tilley for hanging out with us. We appreciate you being on the team, and you'll be hearing too much from me, but also from your supervisors. And any questions or anything, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.